Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning, everybody. I am Yasha Franklin Hodge, Chair of the Public Improvement Commission, and I call to order the PIC hearing of July 31st, 2025. Mr. Lyman, would you please take the roll call?
Of course. Would the representative from the Public Works Department please state their name for the record?
Yasha Franklin Hodge.
Property Management Department, please do the same.
Joseph Callahan.
Transportation Department.
Amy Gordon.
Water and Sewer Commission.
Denise Devlin.
Inspectional Services.
Brian Ronan.
And we do not have anyone from the Disabilities Commission today, but we do have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much, Todd. On to our first agenda item, hearing minutes 1, at the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC hearing held on July 17th, 2025. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of July 17th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to our next item, utility pole hearing continued number 1 on a petition by Eversource Energy for a utility pole installation to install 1 new private utility pole with a guy wire attachment within Harvard Street, Dorchester, to be located on its northerly side at address number 85, generally across from Spencer Street. This had its first hearing on July 17th. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us a brief update on what has transpired since your last hearing?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, hello, this is Chanel Grant from Eversource Energy. And yes, we are installing a new pole on 84 Harvard Street. It's going across from Spencer Street, and let's see, and we're going to relocate our wires from, let's see, from pole 930 over 10. It's going to go over from Spencer, 84 Harvard Street, and the new pole number will be pole 379 over 1-1.5 with an anchor guide.
Thank you, Chanel. Are you able to put the plans up on the screen, please?
Oh, sure, okay. Stand by, let's see. Share.
Share.
Okay, share again. Hit share again, okay. Double click.
Thank you
Okay,
very
are you
much.
able to see that?
We are, yeah.
Okay. Yes, so here at Spencer Street, we're gonna locate the wires across Harvard Street to pole 379 over 1.5 with an anchor guide.
So at the last hearing, there were a number of questions raised about accessibility and requests to explore alternative options. Can you give us an update on those explorations?
So yeah, hi Yasha, this is Kelly Correa. I'm here with Chanel. And we did speak with city engineering and spoke with our engineers here. And really the only option we have, because of the way our lines are fed up Spencer Street, is to put that pole straight across over at, right here, the proposed new pole. Our lines currently go from pole 1 down to pole 10 and then over here across the street. So because they're building a new building here and our primary wires are going to be too close to the building, we need to move those. So to bring our wires straight across here, it won't require any additional guying by adding different angles onto the pole lines. So we're going to come straight across and go down this way instead. So at the last hearing, one of the questions raised was about this pole 10. So we have no intention of removing that pole. We are going to move our primary and secondary lines, so electric will be fed this way. There are other utilities on that pole 10, but it would be up to like somebody to initiate work orders with them to move their lines, etc. And they'd have to write work orders for their each individual companies and so on. If, in fact, they were to relocate their lines here too, this distance here and to the pole over here is much shorter than if they went across in here, so there'd be like extensive splicing and adding new wire just to get the distances in there. The code requirements require us to move the primary away from the building, but all the secondaries and all the telecom lines don't interfere with the building itself. So electric, because we're moving our primary, we'll move our secondary, so our lines will all go the same direction. But the other lines were all intended to stay as is.
Okay, thank you for that, and appreciate the additional work to kind of look at how to minimize the sidewalk interruptions here. I mean, I think from my perspective, right, you know, this is not an ideal condition, and the existing pole 379-1, I think, was highlighted by Disabilities Commission last time as being an existing accessibility concern. With that having been said, it sounds like we've sort of exhausted the reasonable set of alternatives in terms of either removing pole 10 or relocating pole 1 in a way that would address that. And so I think, you know, we're at the point, my understanding and from hearing this explanation, that you know, the PIC likely, since we're not creating a new accessibility condition with this added pole, that the cost of fixing the existing stuff is likely beyond the scope of what's reasonable for a project like this. Does that feel like a accurate sort of statement of where we landed from your perspective?
Correct, and that's one of the things we did discuss this past week too, since our last hearing. And I think we had shown Google Maps pictures of this corner and the pole, and it was kind of grass around it, and it just looked a little shabby. It looked like there wasn't a lot of room, but the project team building these buildings, these are the city-funded affordable housing, I believe.
Yeah.
The project team has actually kind of fixed up this sidewalk here. So this pole is going to remain in place, but there's actually a little more room on this curb, and it's been cleaned up, so it's a lot better than what you see on Google Maps.
Great. Okay. That's really helpful, and glad to know that there is still some accessibility benefits, you know, that will be realized through all of this collective work. So thank you for that. Commissioners, questions, comments? All right. Hearing none, PIC staff or members of the public?
Yeah, Kelly, can you just send us a copy of this updated plan? I don't think I have this.
This should be the one we submitted. I'll resend it today.
Okay, yeah, I think the one that I have is just missing that 4.7 dimension.
Yes.
Okay. Yep, no worries. We'll send it over.
Okay, great.
Kelly, this is Marie. Can you copy me on that just so I'm included in the thread for correspondences?
Yeah, and just for the PIC benefit, Marie Morissette is with the project team for the housing. So we'll give her a copy as well.
Great.
Thank you. I will take this opportunity to remind the public, if you wish to ask questions or add testimony, we ask that you please use the raised hand function at the bottom of your screen under the reactions tab. I do not see anybody else right now, so I think we're all set.
All right. Hearing no other comments, do I hear a motion to approve utility pole hearing continued number 1?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Eversource Energy for utility pole installation on Harvard Street as read and directed by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
All right, we have no public hearings today. However, we do have quite a bit of new business. So we will dive straight into the first item. New business number 1, Turquoise Way, Roxbury, street name change on a petition by the abutters. Would the presenter of this proposal please state their name and affiliation and talk us through the proposal here?
Thank you, Chief Franklin Hodge. My name is Malcolm Bonner from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. representing a petition for a street name change of Turquoise Way to Pauline Bennett Way in Mission Hill. The change will impact 4 parcels on 2 blocks between McGeevy Way and Smith Street. The process began in early 2024 with 2 petitions for a name change received from abutters. The first signed by CEO Gilbert Wynn of Wynn Companies, and the second signed by Boston Housing Authority Administrator Kenzie Bach. Additionally, Mayor Michelle Wu submitted a support letter for the proposed petition. I believe I added all these I sent them all to Todd, so I think he has everything. The late Pauline Bennett was a remarkable woman and a longtime Mission Hill resident. She was beloved and cherished by many in the neighborhood. Passing in April of 1995, her legacy lives on in the lives she touched and the values she instilled in all who had the privilege of knowing her. Renaming Turquoise Way in her honor will preserve that legacy not only for future generations, but for everyone who calls Mission Hill home. I believe that members of the Bennett family are here and plan to testify, and I respectfully request that the Public Improvement Commission consider this petition for a street name change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mackin, and happy to see this come before the commission. Before we turn it over to public testimony, commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, hearing none, PIC staff or members of the public who would like to speak.
Again, I'll just ask everybody who wishes to testify, please use the raised hand function now, and we will call on you when the time comes. Okay, Joseph Bennett, please go ahead.
Hello, how you doing? I'm the grandson of the late Pauline Bennett. Initially, we had a petition for this to take place almost 4 or 5 years ago. I understand the logistics of changing the street name, but to improve the lives and the quality of Mission Hill, I think my grandmother's name should be on the street in that neighborhood. We grew up there, we lived there, we still live there, we still reside there. Many of you may have known that we did a documentary called Murder in Boston, where we exposed the corruption. That case killed my grandmother at a very young age of 63 years old. But still, instead of being bitter towards Boston police, through my organization, Yard Time Inc., that I created, I work with the Boston police. I try to talk to the incoming recruits about policing now, as opposed to policing in 1989. There was a period where, we're looking for healing, we're looking for justice, we're looking for everything that is deserved to the Bennett family. But naming this street, I think, would be the best honor that I could ever honor my grandmother with. And I understand the logistics about changing names and street names, but the importance and the legacy of her community work that I'm continuing on through my nonprofit organization serving Mission Hill community, I think that would be an honor in order to get her name placed on the street. Thank you. Sorry about that, I'm a little emotional.
James Jimmy Hills.
Good morning. I wanted to come in support of the street name being changed to, I'm a friend of the Bennett family. I also was a victim of a lot of the impact during that time post the event as being a teenager. I remember the night walking to night school and seeing the police shoot up, I think it's New Dudley now, or Malcolm X now, but New Dudley past Madison Park coming from B2. While we're in a time where a lot of the history of a lot of the folks that look like me that are on this Zoom, we cannot also deny some history that in some cases should be erased. It was terrible. But in the legacy that Joseph spoke to about his grandmother, there is a justice. There is impact on equitable processes of the police department that impact this community today when it comes to community policing. So that legacy with her community work is there. The other piece is there's a legacy, and I can attest to the fact that her lineage and legacy and bloodline, after all that they've been through, centers their work back in the community and with men like me who were impacted by this injustice. And so while Joseph named, presumably I work there in the hall, I know that there, will be some logistics and maybe address change and whatnot. In comparison to what this community and this family went through, some paperwork and some time in changing address, is an inconvenience. But let's think about the great, nothing can replace her. But let's think about what this does. Some inconvenience, yes, but this is a testament to where this city is going in rectifying the many wrongs that have happened based on racism, based on corrupt policing. I yield. Thank you.
I do not see any more hands raised. Oh,
All right.
all right. Mr. Bennett, go ahead again.
No, I'm sorry, I was just clapping for the change, so.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you both very much. And, we don't do street name changes often in the city, but when there is an important opportunity to honor a person who has made a significant impact on the city, and especially given the context and the history of Ms. Bennett's role in the past and the things that happened in this neighborhood, over the past many decades, I think this feels like a very appropriate moment to honor someone who contributed so much and to recognize some of the history. And so I thank you both for sharing both the context for this, but also your own personal experiences and your family's experiences, in Mission Hill in the 90s, and to give us a little bit more understanding of why this name change is so important. So thank you for coming to testify. As you may know, the process involves, for any PIC action, or almost any PIC action, involves 2 hearings. So we will, unless there are other comments or questions, we'll schedule the public hearing for 2 weeks from now, and then that will finalize that will be when we vote to actually make the change, at which point Amy and the BTD team will initiate all the processes to formalize it with street sign changes, notifying the U.S. Post Office, updating all of the city's records. We did a name change last year, and it's usually a fairly quick process to kind of get all that stuff changed over. So unless there are other questions, I guess I'll ask you, Mac, and will you be ready for the public hearing in 2 weeks on
August 14th.
August 14th?
I'm sorry, I will mention Sharna in the chat has dropped a... Sharna, do you wish to speak, or do you want us to just kind of stand by the message you left in the chat? Oh, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, the message is fine. Thank you if you guys can hear me now. This is something I just wanted to share, that Joseph's grandmother is my Aunt Pauline, and her legacy is absolutely worthy of the changes, the inconveniences. And I just want to add that not only did all that has been experienced impact those of us that were there, but unfortunately it's something that impacts multiple generations, even those that were born after these instances. So the least way that she can be honored is absolutely having the name changed. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mackin, will you be ready for a public hearing in 2 weeks on August 14th?
That sounds good, Chief. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you all. We'll see you in 2 weeks. All right. Moving on to our next agenda item, new business 2, Edgewater Drive, Metaxeset Street, Wachusett Street, Malta Street, Topolian Street, Dorchester, Hyde Park, specific repairs, and a petition by the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation. Would the proponents please introduce themselves and their affiliations and talk us through what you are proposing to do?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Dominic Rinaldi with BSC Group. Here with me today is Stella Lensing of DCR. We're here requesting, as you said, there are 3 locations for new pedestrian curb ramps and crossings of Edgewater Drive, and what, for lack of a better description, I'll call it sort of finishing the end of Wachusett Street. In a minute, I'll ask to share screen, but just very quickly, all of this work is associated with DCR's Edgewater Greenway project. If you're not familiar with that, it's basically about a half-a-mile shared-use trail from Kennedy Playground in the east to Osceola Street in the west, which is a secondary trail network part of DCR's larger Neponset River Greenway, which is about 8 miles of shared use trails from Columbia Point out to the Blue Hills. And all of this work is really just associated with providing the neighborhood better access to the Greenway once it's constructed. If I may request to share screen.
Let's go right ahead.
Let's make sure I share the right one. All right. So is that up? I'll start with, real quick with Google Maps, because it does show a reasonable part for at least Wachusett Street and Matakeesit Street. So you can sort of see here, here's Kennedy Playground. The Greenway will run from Kennedy Playground through along Edgewater Drive and end over here in the west at Osceola Street. So the first part of it, if you were to drop here into the end of Wachusett Street, wrong way, you'll see Wachusett Street sort of just ends, oddly. There is sidewalk on each side, kind of a driveway for this home here. The public right-of-way actually ends roughly where you see the end of the word street, or the T in street, and the pavement keeps going by into DCR property. Switching over to the proposal. Just if you're following along, if you haven't had the plans in front of you, I'm starting with page 2 because I made a weird choice and put them in an odd order that I don't love. So what we're proposing here, you can see the end of Wachusett Street, the pavement would kind of keep going here. You can see the right-of-way in red, and the Greenway trail coming through. We are going to close off the end of Wachusett Street with vertical granite curb, bring sidewalk around connecting to the 2 existing sidewalks, taking out, if you may have noticed, there was like a weird little piece of asphalt at the end of the concrete. That's coming out, we're connecting to the concrete. Building that home at the end of the street, a real driveway, and connecting to the sidewalk on that side as well. And then on the DCR property, we are going to be building a sidewalk down to the trail path so that folks coming down Wachusett Street can accessibly and readily access the trail. I don't know if you want to jump in with any questions as we go through the 4 locations, or you want to wait till the end. I'm fine either way.
I think you can just keep going through each
Sure.
phase and then we'll go back.
If I could jump back to, well, actually, I'll just jump to, so going back to Matakeesit Street, here, this is an interesting one. Edgewater Drive, the actual public right-of-way, you can see in red, actually ends at the end of Matakeesit Street, and there's some broken pavement and gravel that extends. It is not a through path to the next street. It actually ends before the next street. But there are a few homes along there that do have rights to drive through there, and their driveways are actually on this stretch. So what DCR is proposing as part of that trail is to convert that, this is all in the private way, but just to sort of give you the overall picture, is to turn that into just sort of more of a driveway and narrow it up, and access the trail over here. Right now on this intersection, there is existing curb ramps at this corner and this corner. The northwest corner here is a two-way ramp, and there's sort of a drop-down ramp that the sidewalk just sort of ends at the end of Edgewater Drive here. What we're proposing to do is actually bump that out a little, turn the corner with sidewalk, ramp, much shorter crosswalk here to the existing ramp. As part of that, we're proposing 4-inch, the city's 4-inch mountable granite curb along this edge, just in case there's ever a reason for really emergency vehicles, if they need to access the Edgewater Greenway, they'll be able to go over that mountable curb and keep going into the greenway. So continuing east a couple blocks to Malta Street. Again, there is a crossing of Malta Street, but there is no crossing of Edgewater Drive, which is what we're proposing. On the north side, we'll be matching, it's a bit of a narrow sidewalk, we'll be matching that sidewalk. On the south side, we're actually gonna do a ever so slight bump out of the curb to make the request of the curb ramp team to make a 7-foot wide ramp. As part of the trail work, DCR will be creating, there is this existing stone wall all along the south side of the existing Edgewater sidewalk. They will be making a new opening in that for access to the trail. This tree was deemed to be in very poor shape and dying, so this tree is being removed and the access to the trail will be through there. That access does line up with the level landing of the ramp. And finally, our last spot, again, a couple blocks further east, you can see Kennedy Playground here at the intersection of Edgewater and Tepalian Street. Again, similar crossing on this section, matching the existing sidewalk on the north side. Again, doing a little bit of a bump out to get that 7-foot ramp here. And in addition, there is an existing opening in the wall here. DCR is going to be widening that to 19 feet. This will be for emergency vehicles and small maintenance vehicles for DCR to get out there and maintain the trail. And we're requesting a section again of that mountable curb through there, again, just so those vehicles can have access. We don't want to make this into a real driveway because we don't want any random person to inadvertently take a left and end up where they shouldn't. And the rest of the plans are grading and details. I can go through that if you want. Just for reference, this whole area is pretty flat, so the grades are actually reasonably easy to meet. But certainly if anyone has any questions.
Thank you very much. I see Stella, go right ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to make a quick correction. The abutters between Matakisa Street and Monpont Street have no legal rights, that we're just creating an access driveway for them. Just wanted to make that correction.
All right, commissioners, questions? Hearing none, I have a couple. So much of the sidewalk, the existing sidewalks where they exist along Edgewater Drive are asphalt that's in very poor condition. Am I correct in understanding that, with the exception of the areas sort of shown as, for reconstruction here, that you intend to leave the existing sidewalks and as they are? Is that correct?
Yes, but if I may make a correction, so, and someone from the city may have to jump in on the timing. A few years ago, the city did do a project. They're actually all concrete sidewalks there now.
Got it. Okay.
And they're actually not in bad shape.
Street Smart has it, not Google.
Yes, if you go on Google, that's why I didn't show the other section. Wachusett is good, Matakisset's actually not bad, but as you go down to the other streets, it obviously predates the city's project, and if there's sidewalk there, it is exactly what you referred to, full asphalt. A lot of it isn't, but at some point, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the city did put in concrete sidewalks and vertical granite curb.
Yes.
Great. Appreciate that, and glad that we will be kind of stitching that together with these other connections that you all are building. For the private way portion of Edgewater Drive, what communication and engagement has happened with the abutters along that segment about these plans and the alternative and the redesign that's intended here?
We have had extensive communication with the community, including the abutters, about the project throughout the project. We have had, just as recently as last week, we met with the abutters on site to, again, review the plan so that they, we could be certain they had complete understanding of that access drive. They had an opportunity to ask questions. And the project is underway, under construction. So there's been extensive communication. They're well aware of the ownership and the access that we are building for them.
Great. Thank you for that, and appreciate the outreach. And related to that section as well, has there been any conversations with the Public Works waste reduction team about fast truck access at that location? I'm not sure if residents are currently bringing their trash out towards the public way or if trash trucks are driving, but it looks like we'd be significantly reducing the available space for trash trucks to operate and turn around. It's just wondering if you've had a discussion with them.
We have not had a discussion with them. That would certainly be, if you could send us the contact for that,
Yep.
That would be good to know. It's very difficult to understand, it's obvious that not many people understood that this is not City of Boston property. So, yeah, it would be good to know if we could disclose that route there. So.
Yeah, I think we'd like to just have you connect with both waste reduction and the fire department, since those are the kind of two teams most likely to be putting large vehicles down this passage. We have many conditions like this in the city with private waste stubs that we, in some cases, provide service to, in some cases do not. And operationally, the teams tend to be pretty flexible. They'll sometimes back trucks in to do collection on narrow streets, but I think just making sure they have a chance to look at the dimensions, understand how it's likely to change, and what, if any, implications that has for service will be important to get their sign off. So Todd can make those connections with both Public Works and the fire department.
Please do, because we have reached out to the fire department on several occasions and received zero feedback. So it'd be nice to know if there's another person that we should be speaking to.
Yeah, we'll do our best to get you a responsive contact there. And then with the wall, obviously a lot of it is pre-existing, but what is the sort of maintenance expectations for that wall, including any segments that are being newly constructed or reconstructed, and will there be a LMI that DCR can execute to the extent that DCR is taking responsibility for that, to just affirm that going forward?
I'm not sure I understand your question. The DCR owns the wall.
Mm-hmm.
We are making changes to the wall, but we will obviously maintain it. I'm not understanding what you're asking.
The wall does exist. They're not building any new wall.
No.
It's all existing wall. The only thing they're really doing with it is widening that one opening and creating another opening and subgrading from. I don't know if you're doing any repointing or anything.
It's a wall that's been there. It's a WPA era wall.
So, and it is, and it's one of those, DCR owns the wall, and it is one of those things where, probably because of survey instrumentation in 1920 something. Some of it edges just over into the right of way, but most of it is entirely on DCR's property.
So I think that it is that little sliver that is just a thing we would like to clean up, that that historic anomaly by having just a document that codifies that is DCR's responsibility to maintain the wall, even the portions that are in the public right of way. So that's something that we'd appreciate you being willing to explore that with us, and Todd can talk you through what that process looks like.
Thank you.
So for me, any other commissioners, any other final questions? AC staff or members of the public?
I don't see any raised hands, but yes, Stella and Dom, I can certainly work with you on contacts at Public Works and the fire department, and I can also put you in touch with our legal counsel, Chung, to discuss any maintenance agreement that might need to be executed for that wall.
All right. Will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 14th?
Right, thank you.
All right, excellent. We will see you then. Thank you so much.
Excellent. And Todd, real quick, I followed up to your email. Please have them send me the ad stuff.
Coming at you.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you. Let me stop sharing first.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On to our next item of business, new business 3, East 4th Street, M Street, South Boston, granted location on a petition by National Grid. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and talk us through what you are proposing to do?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Peter Nagel. I'm with National Grid. I'm joined by Sam Uwaifo, who is our lead regulator station engineer on this project. You have before you today what I would call kind of a long and winding road to get to this point, to much to the credit of PIC staff and all the applicable signatories to this. We are looking to replace actually 2 existing regulator stations. I'll reference them as Station 1 and Station 2 on the map that we're looking at. Station 1 being a existing facility that will go into its existing footprint. To the PIC's concern of getting our facilities off of public rights of way, this was a location that did not lend itself to any off city rights of way properties, if you will. So the decision was made to, with the consult of PIC staff, to replace the station in kind. This station presently serves about 22,000 customers in the South Boston neighborhood. It is a older facility that we would obviously like to get out of the ground and replace with one that is more accessible for our employees, as well as to improve service to the community. The chamber itself would require about 50 feet of inlet piping, and then about 60 feet of outlet piping, both roughly half of which would be on the sidewalk and half of which in the beyond the curb line into the East 4th Street. This is as I mentioned, a replacement in kind, so we would need to do this within a window that would line up with our heating season, because we can't take out a station this robust and risk service interruptions to customers. So I would envision this more than likely taking place at the provided we were to receive a successful PIC application early next construction season after the heating season. Our second station, I will reference this as station number 2, is a replacement of an existing station currently on L Street at East 4th, roughly 2 blocks down the street. This site might sound familiar to the commission, as we were before you several years ago looking to replace that station, and were subsequently given a successful PIC application. However, post receipt of that successful application, the landscape over there changed. There was an outdoor dining situation. Just myriad issues arose. There was a lot of work on L Street at the time relative to the traffic calming measures, as well as an water and sewer and National Grid project that would have entailed us moving to weekends, which really wouldn't have been feasible for anybody. So again, in working with PIC staff, we looked at a site adjacent to this and Lincoln Square, but the elevations there, we ultimately decided wouldn't lend themselves to that project because of the grades were too steep in areas. However, in that discussion, National Grid had committed to a fairly robust, in concert with the city community enhancement program relative to accessibility ramps, sidewalk reconstruction, and again, the sidewalk corridors going down to the highlighted in the blue area, if you will, where the cursor is located. So we are still committed to that work and replacement at the city's behest. I think we'll be for you at a separate hearing to discuss that. But in the meantime, we'd be moving, like to move forward with the installation of these 2 facilities at your approval. No, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Peter. Appreciate all of the detail and context here. And also appreciate the stated commitment to be back for street improvements as a mitigation or associated work for this work. So appreciate that. I know we had intended to move the grant of location in tandem with the the other street work, but for a variety of reasons that timing did not line up. So I'll turn it over. Commissioners, questions, comments? Joe, did you have something? No? All right, hearing none, PIC staff or members of the public?
I think we're all set on this for now.
All right, will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 14th?
Yes, we are. And just again, kudos to your staff for their navigation on all of this.
Yep. I appreciate that. They do great work.
I'm sorry,
so thank you.
You also sent me a cut sheet showing grading. I don't think my team has reviewed these ramps. If you could just send those in to Todd or myself, that would be super helpful. Thank you.
Those information will be coming from Todd. The restoration work at the intersection of M Street and Emerson is a package that will come from the city, and the National Grid will work with the city to complete that process.
Yep, I'll chat with you about that offline, Dolores.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
All right, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
All right, on to our next item, new business 4, 120 to 134 Hampton Street, Norfolk Ave, Roxbury, pedestrian easement on a petition by Ballman Capital Group, LLC. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and talk us through this action?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commission members. I'm Madison Blanchard with Howard Stein Hudson. We are the civil engineer for the proposed project at 134 Hampton Street. I'm joined today by members of Ballman Capital Group, the project proponent, and Rody, the project's architect. The existing project site is approximately half an acre located in Roxbury. The project site is bounded by Norfolk Avenue to the northeast, Howard Street and privately owned parcels to the south, and Hampton Street to the west. This is a photo of the existing site today. The existing site is occupied by a 6-story warehouse building surrounded by surface parking and loading areas. In the proposed condition, the project will maintain the existing structure, renovate that building, and add a 6-story addition to provide a total of 105,605 gross square foot mixed-use self-storage building. The development will provide approximately 3,665 square feet of ground floor retail space, approximately 4,210 square feet of office and business space, and approximately 97,730 square feet of self-storage space. The project will also install an at-grade surface parking lot for up to 14 vehicles, and this parking lot will be accessed off of Norfolk Avenue. The project proposes a pedestrian easement along Hampton Street and Norfolk Avenue. This easement is intended to provide a 5-foot clear path measured from back of vertical obstructions within the Hampton Street and Norfolk Avenue sidewalk. These vertical obstructions include existing street lighting infrastructure and traffic infrastructure. The easement begins at the intersection of Hampton Street and Norfolk Ave and continues approximately 100.4 feet southerly on Hampton Street and approximately 277.6 feet southeasterly on Norfolk Avenue. The pedestrian easement varies in width and totals 466 square feet. The project does not propose any specific repair improvements. However, any non-compliant sidewalks will be reconstructed by the project, and non-compliant pedestrian ramps will be reconstructed by the project as well. The project will also narrow the existing driveway curb cut on Norfolk Avenue and slightly shift it. That work will be permitted separately through a curb cut application with the Public Works Department. That concludes the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, questions, comments? Hearing none, PIC staff or members of the public?
I think we're all set on this one.
All right, very straightforward. Will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 14th?
We will be. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We'll see you back here then. On to our next item, new business number 5, 295 West 1st Street, West 2nd Street, East Street, South Boston, widening and relocation, pedestrian easement, specific repairs on a set of petitions by JSIP West 1st Street LLC. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and walk us through this project and the proposed action?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commission members. I'm Madison Blanchard with Howard Stein Hudson. We are providing the civil engineering design and permitting services for this project. I'm joined today by members of the proponent team, Jones Street Investment Partners, the PCA, the project's architect, and Nick Zazula, the project's legal counsel. The project site is located at 295 West 1st Street in South Boston. It's approximately 2.5 acres and is bounded by West 1st Street to the northeast, East Street to the southeast, West 2nd Street to the southwest, and privately owned parcels to the northwest. The existing project site is an industrial laydown facility for crane and construction vehicles and houses an existing warehouse building. The project proposes the demolition of the existing warehouse building on site and the construction of a 6-story, 224,600 gross square foot mixed-use building. The development will provide approximately 236 residential units, first floor garage parking for up to 125 vehicles accessed off of West First Street, and 8,600 square feet of ground floor community and retail space. Along West First Street, the project proposes specific repairs, widening and relocation, and a pedestrian easement. The specific repairs along West First Street include the closure of 2 existing driveway curb cuts, installation of 1 20-foot wide driveway curb cut, sidewalk reconstruction and widening, the installation of a 4.5-foot wide sidewalk furnishing zone that includes permeable pavers, 7 new street trees, 11 bicycle racks, and 2 benches, as well as pedestrian ramp reconstruction at the intersection of West First Street and East Street. This pedestrian ramp reconstruction includes installing a raised crossing across East Street adjacent to the project site. The project proposes a widening and relocation along the entire site's frontage along West First Street, beginning at the property line. This widening and relocation is approximately 3.2 feet in width and totals 927 square feet. This widening and relocation is proposed to allow for the installation of street lighting and shadow conduit and pole boxes. Beginning at the back of widening and relocation limits, the project also proposes a pedestrian easement. This pedestrian easement will provide a 5-foot minimum clear path of pedestrian travel measured from back of sidewalk furnishing zone to the easement limits. The easement has an approximate width of 2.4 feet and a total area of 686 square feet. The limits of building that extend above the pedestrian easement exceed the 10-foot minimum vertical clearance requirement by the city. The portions of those buildings are internally drained and part of the insulated building envelope. Along East Street, the project proposes specific repairs and pedestrian easement. The specific repairs include sidewalk reconstruction and widening, the installation of a sidewalk furnishing zone that's 4.5 feet in width, including permeable pavers, 6 new street trees, 10 bicycle racks, and 2 benches. A pedestrian easement is proposed beginning at the property line and extends into the project site to provide a minimum clear width of 6.5 feet measured from back of sidewalk furnishing zone. The pedestrian easement continues the entirety of the project site's East Street frontage and has a total area of approximately 671 square feet. Portions of building that extend above the limit of pedestrian easement exceed the 10-foot minimum vertical clearance required by the city, are internally drained and part of the insulated building envelope. Lastly, in West 2nd Street, the project proposes a specific repairs and a pedestrian easement. The specific repairs in West 2nd Street include sidewalk reconstruction and widening, the installation of a 4.5-foot furnishing zone with permeable pavers, 4 bike racks, and 6 benches. The work within the furnishing zone has also been designed to maintain the 8 existing street trees adjacent to the project site. A 15-dock bike station is proposed in West 2nd Street adjacent to the project site, and the project also includes the reconstruction and tabling of the West 2nd and East Street intersection. A pedestrian easement is proposed along West 2nd Street to provide a minimum of 10-foot clear dimension from back of sidewalk furnishing zone to limit of the easement. The easement extends the entirety of the site's frontage along West 2nd Street, has an approximate width of 5.9 feet, and totals 1,663 square feet. There are no elements of building above that extend over this portion of the site's pedestrian easement. Before I pass it over to the city, I just want to thank PIC staff on the proponents' behalf for your help in getting us here and keeping us on the new business agenda this week. We recognize there are some open items with planning and BTD, and we will work to through those and address them before the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madison. Could you actually just very briefly speak to the open items that you're still working through, just for the record, so we know what's coming for next year?
Yes, I believe Amy, BTD staff is still completing their review. They've given us the okay to proceed with new business under the assumption there may be comments from BTD between new business and public hearing, and planning wants the project team to review the Blue Bike Station location. Right now, the Blue Bike Station is located adjacent to an existing street light. This is something we went back and forth with street lighting and the city in great detail, but there's some additional items that planning staff has asked us to study, so we'll be looking into that and coordinating.
Yeah, I'll say from our end, it's largely currently around the garage door. There's a recess on the garage door to allow somebody to wait for the garage door to open and not blocking the sidewalk. And we do not believe that that has been accomplished, that the car will still in fact be on the sidewalk. So I think that we just want to work through the details to make sure our comments are similar with Sarah Leon, who's not here today. But yeah, I think if we can figure out kind of the garage access between now and the public hearing. That's the bigger issue.
Great, thanks, Amy. And I'll just note, I know the garage door location is in flux, but that will not affect our pedestrian easement limits or riding and relocation limits. So those documents will remain the same and the curb cut should remain the same as well.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, questions, comments? Right, hearing none, I'll just express my appreciation for the project working with the city and in particular for the inclusion of some very helpful pedestrian safety elements in this project with the changes in some of these crosswalks. It's great to see the project like this not only upgrading the materials of the public right-of-way, but also adding safety features like a raised intersection, so appreciate that. PIC staff or members of the public?
I think we're all set.
All right, straightforward. Will you be ready for your public hearing with the outstanding items discussed, worked through in 2 weeks?
We will be, thank you.
All right, excellent. We will see you on August 14th. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, on to our next item, new business 6, Stewart Street at 270 Tremont Street, Boston proper, projection license and a joint petition by Orange Barrel Media LLC and Lang Theater Incorporated. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and talk us through what you are proposing to do?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. For the record, Chris Rainier from Goldston Stores here today on behalf of Orange Barrel Media. Have with us a few people in respect of this petition, including Casey Soward, who is the president and CEO of the Box Center, which includes the Wang Theater, Jake Della Valle, who's the development director at Orange Barrel Media, his colleague Eric Masso, the director of pre-construction from Orange Barrel, and our civil engineer of record, Rick Latini from Howard Stein Hudson, who will present the technical details on this proposal in a minute. I'd just like to give a little bit of background of both the project and where we are in sort of our timeline, because I think a little context is helpful. Over the past few years, Orange Barrel has engaged in a comprehensive process in partnership with the Box Center to obtain approvals necessary to erect a digital sign on the rear facade of the Box Center. The sign is located within a theater district, which is one of 3 zoning overlay districts in the city that allow electronic signs by conditional use permit. And the sign is designed to complement the Box Center's entrance marquee and will utilize state-of-the-art LED technology to display a combination of content, including artistic, community, and on-premises content. A percentage of the sign's content will be dedicated to supporting and promoting the Box Center, and Orange Barrel's lease payments in connection with the sign will also provide much-needed financial support to the Box Center as it continues to reopen and stabilize after the COVID pandemic and shutdown, which severely affected the theater and the theater community. Casey is here from the Box Center. As I said, if there's any questions concerning the benefits to the Box Center, its operations and programming. The sign that Neil will present to you shortly has obtained zoning approval from the Board of Appeal. We've also received approval from the BPDA, including design approval, and we have a license agreement with the BPDA as required under the zoning code, and the license agreement regulates hours of operation, monitoring for the sign, provides for a revenue share with the city, in some of those content requirements that I was talking about, there's a requirement that at least 10% of the sign's content be provided to the city, to cultural institutions, community organizations. And Orange Barrel really has a great track record. This is, they have about 4 other signs in the city. They have a wonderful track record in partnering with community organizations to provide time on their signs. And I think that's really evidenced by the significant support this sign has received by a number of community organizations. Those letters of support were in Rick's engineering report. They include organizations like the Asian American Civic Association, the Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center, the Boston LGBTQ+ Museum, the St. Francis House, Urban College of Boston, Downtown Boston Alliance, and others. And one example that I like to share in terms of the community partnerships is a number of years ago on one of Orange Barrel's other signs, the Boston Urban College approached them and said, you know, we have some, graduation is coming up, and a number of our students are first-time college graduates, and is there any way that we could somehow acknowledge them on your sign? And Orange Barrel stepped right up and partnered with them, helped them with some technology, and provided an opportunity for first-time college graduates to see their picture and their name on one of Orange Barrel's signs, which was a real accomplishment both to them and to Boston Urban College. So with that, I'm excited, and we're excited to present this request for projection license to the commission. And Rick, if you want to turn to the next slide, just I'll sort of ground you. This shows where the sign is located generally in the theater district, which I said is one of the 3 districts in the city that allow these types of signs by conditional use permit. Next slide, please, Rick.
It's not, hold on a second. I gotta. Having technical difficulties with sorry about that.
No problem. So this shows the property line where the sign is extending into the public airspace, which is why we're here today. The sign's about 50 feet above the sidewalk, so well in the air. And Rick will talk about that in more detail while we go to the next slide, Rick. And this is a rendering of what the sign will look like. This is the rear facade of the Wang Theater, the Box Center. The side you're seeing now is the digital side. It will allow for changeable content, not animated. This content is static, and then it changes to a new display. In between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m., it'll either turn off or just display abstract imagery. So Orange Barrel has a few of these other signs in the city that have been well received, and we look forward to advancing the sign at this location in the partnership with the Box Center. Thank you. Rick, why don't you do the next slide, please?
Thank you, Chris. I'm Rick Latini with Howard Stein Hudson. Just to go over the sign a little bit, Chris has already mentioned that there's some architectural elements here that echo the marquee that most of you are probably familiar with, that's on the main entry on Tremont Street. This sign, at its longest dimension, is 35 feet, but only 11.6 inches of it is over the public sidewalk. The depth of the side is 25 feet. As Chris was saying, this is on the kind of on the nondescript backside of the Bach Theater on Stewart Street, which is, is an urban principal artery. So this location will help spotlight the theater events, and as Chris mentioned, also community messaging and nonprofit agency content as well. So going to the license plan, as I mentioned, the sign sticks out 11.6 inches over the public way, over the sidewalk. The sign is 25 feet, but we were asked for a license of 26 feet just to give 6 inches of construction tolerances on the top and the bottom. Another thing I'll note is that the bottom of the sign is located over 50 feet above the sidewalk elevation. As far as the width, the sign's only 4.5 feet wide, and similarly, we're asking for a 6-inch construction tolerance on our license. So basically, this license area over the public way is about 63 square feet or so. As Chris mentioned, we've gotten approvals from some neighborhood associations, and we've gotten no comments from the usual candidates of city agencies and public utilities for the plan that's in front of you. This include no comments from landmarks, neighborhood, street lighting, and others. So with that, we'll see if the commission has any questions or comments on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Commissioners, questions?
I have one. Is there any risk of bicycles coming off this and falling onto the public way?
This is actually, you can't see it here, but the sign is actually sloped back towards the building, so it would be picked up by the building roof drainage system.
Thank you.
Can you speak a little bit to just how you manage light levels from a sign like this, particularly at night? I know there's a number of other similar LED signs in the general vicinity, but this one I think is unusually high and also very proximate to both a hotel, which has some rooms that I think face out towards this sign, and then across the street there are a number of residential buildings that sort of have an oblique view of the sign. So can you just speak to the approach that you take to ensure that light levels are appropriate and do not interfere with nearby uses?
Sure. Jake, are you able to address this question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, this is Jake Bell Valley, Development Director for OBM. So our signs all have an ambient light sensor that actually will dim at nighttime. This is similar to, if you're looking at your iPhone during the day, you need to have your illumination all the way up to be able to see it. But actually, if you're, at nighttime, if you're in bed, you can actually turn it down and be able to see it better. It works the same way with our signs. It automatically adjusts to the ambient light, and it actually dims at night because it doesn't need to be illuminated as much to be visible.
Okay, that's helpful to know. And has there been any engagement or discussion with the Moxie Hotel in particular, given that it has room windows that sort of directly face into the sign?
The butter notices were sent to the adjacent properties. The Moxie itself has a sign on it as well. But this face of the digital face faces away from the Moxie Hotel. So it's actually the rear of the sign that will be facing the Moxie.
Okay, got it. So it's only illuminated on the side facing towards the east, I guess.
Correct. And the back side is a business accessory sign for the Box Center.
And got it. Yeah, the sign that you see, Box Center, that's a static sign. That's not a digital sign.
I see. Okay. All right. That's helpful, and I think addresses that concern. Also, likely reduces the chance of there being an impact to the residential building across the street. So, excellent. Thank you for that. Commissioners, any other questions or comments? All right. Hearing none. PIC staff or members of the public.
All set.
All right, will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 14th?
Yes, we will. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We'll see you back here then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
On to new business 7, 178 to 180 Guest Street, Brighton, specific repairs, projection license on a set of petitions by Boston Landing LLC. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and walk us through the project and the actions you are proposing?
Sure. Good morning, Chief Franklin Hodge, board members, PIC staff, Attorney John Pulgini here on behalf of the petitioner, Boston Landing LLC. With me this morning is Devin Howe and Tyler Lepshansky from Beals Associate. The project before you is being constructed as part of the Boston Landing PDA master plan located at the corner of Guest Street and Arthur Street. The 180 Guest Street proposal is for the construction of 130,000 square foot hotel use with accessory uses including meeting rooms, conference rooms, restaurant, live entertainment, and valet parking. Additionally, there'll be 6,150 square feet of gross area of retail, restaurant, and service uses. Ancillary parking for the hotel will be provided at the Brighton Landing garage or elsewhere within the Boston Landing complex. The proposal was initially approved by the BPDA along with other projects associated with this PDA back in 2012. A notice of project change to reduce the gross square footage of the hotel was filed in 2021 and was approved in 2022. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Devin and Tyler to walk through the plans, and we're happy to answer any questions. But again, we appreciate the opportunity to present this morning.
So good morning, Chief Franklin Hodge and fellow commissioners. If it's okay, if I could share my screen, have a short presentation.
Please do.
I'm sure the commission is well aware where the Boston Landing project is, but the project that we're discussing is located along Guest Street, outlined in yellow here, located at 178 to 180 Guest Street. And just for orientation, we have the New Balance headquarters to the north, the Warrior Ice Arena to the west, the New Balance track and field to the south, and the Lantera residence project to the south as well of the project area. As John had mentioned, we're requesting 2 petitions to the commission. The first petition is to allow for specific repairs along the frontage of Guest Street, as well as to allow for a projection license for the Strider Hotel building itself. This is a copy of the specific repairs plan that we've submitted. As has been stated, the project is for a hotel building, and to accommodate the hotel parking, we're going to be proposing to have 3 valet ADA parking spaces along Guest Street, really located within this area here that I just outlined. And primarily to accommodate those valet spaces, we wanted to have at least one of those be ADA compliant. So what we've done is we've introduced a ADA accessible ramp here. Main entrance to the hotel is right here in this area. So it's really to provide access down to those valet spaces for people. And what that did is that pushed these tree wells over slightly. I think this one shifted about a foot or 2. It aligns with the columns of the building, so aesthetically pleasing. There was another existing tree well that I'm circling here that shifted about 4 feet or so to the west along Guest Street. And similarly, another tree well here that shifted a couple of feet. To also ensure that the same number of available spaces can be provided along Guest Street, we've taken this rain garden here and shifted it approximately 6 feet to the east along Guest Street. There's some other street furniture along Guest Street that would be shifted with this change. There were some benches over here that would have been otherwise in front of the main entrance of the building. We've taken those, relocated them in this area here. There were also some trash cans, just again, relocating those over slightly. And then as mentioned, the rain garden would be the exact same as what's existed out there for about 10 years now, really just taking it up, moving it over, and then replanting everything. We have been working with city staff to address their comments. So we've worked extensively at this point with the Parks and Rec Department addressing what they're looking for trees. And we do still have some outstanding comments that we've responded to with the planning department that we plan on addressing before the public hearing on this petition. The second petition that we're requesting is to allow for a projection license. The projection license would extend from the main entrance of the building out approximately 2.3 feet into the public right-of-way of Guest Street.
The actual discontinuance itself measures about 20.5 feet long, 2.3 feet wide, and that's to accommodate a canopy that would extend out. It's about 11.5 feet above the sidewalk, and it's about 4.5 feet tall. You can see this shows the canopy itself, and then above that canopy, we had extended that up slightly to account for signage that we're proposing as part of this. As far as the signage goes, this is a rendering that had been put together for the canopy. So you can see down here, this is the canopy what would be extending into the public right-of-way, and then the signage would be above that, and then you can see just what that would visually look like. With that, I'll turn it back over, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, questions, comments? All right, I have one minor question. So it looks like at one point there was a blue bike station located at the corner associated with this project. It appears that with construction underway, it was relocated onto the other side of Guest Street. I'm just curious if in the sort of final intended configuration of this, is it expected that that station is coming back to the previous location, or will it stay where it is now?
I don't have the answer to that question, but I can certainly get you an answer.
Okay, yeah, no strong feelings about it, but just obviously want to make sure that if it's displacing a piece of transportation infrastructure, that there is a long-term plan in place for where it's going to live. So just if you could check in with that team and get back to us, that'd be great. Great, nothing else from me. Commissioners, last call. All right, PAC staff or members of the public.
Just one quick request, Devin. Could you just add those renderings that you showed a minute ago to your projection license plan in the next 2 weeks, just so that we have that context?
Sure.
Thank you. Other than that, I'm all set.
Excellent. Will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks?
Yes.
We will see you on August 14th. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you very much.
On to our next item, new business 8, 77 to 81 Terrace Street, 782 to 794 Parker Street, Roxbury, widening and relocations. Specific repairs on a set of petitions by ODJ Dev LLC. Would the proponents please introduce themselves and their affiliations and talk us through your project and the actions you are proposing?
Sure. Good morning again, Chief Franklin Hodge, board members, PIC staff, Attorney John Plugini on behalf of the petitioner ODJ DEV LLC. With me this morning is Fred Keeler from Hancock Associates. 77 Terrace Street is a project development in conjunction with the Mayor's Office of Housing, which proposes 48 units of home ownership affordability with ground floor retail and garage parking. This proposal was approved by the BPDA in March and by the Zoning Board of Appeal in May. At this point, I'll turn it over to Fred to walk you through the plans, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Good morning, Chairman Hodge and Commissioners. Again, for the record, Fred Keeler from Hancock Associates. If I could share my screen. So this is just an aerial view of the project area. Terrace Street is on the right side here. Parker Street above. The project sort of spans the wooded area between the two streets in this fashion. I'm going to go past the widening and relocation plan and jump right to specific repairs for context. As John mentioned, it's an affordable housing project. The affordable housing building is located off of the Terrace Street side of the project, in this area here. With regard to specific repairs on Terrace Street, we are proposing to remove and reset granite curb, reconstruct the sidewalk. There's 3 proposed street trees with 3 pits, 5 city standard bike racks that are shown along the curb line. We're also proposing a 12-foot wide residential driveway for access to the building garage. And the sidewalk will be widened into the properties so we can have a 6.5-foot wide accessible pedestrian path of travel along the project frontage. On the Parker Street side,
Are you able to share plans? We're only seeing the Google Maps here.
Can you see that now?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, sorry about that. My apologies.
No worries.
So going back to the beginning here, just to put the project in context, I wanted to start with the specific repairs because it shows sort of the proposed improvements on the site. As John mentioned, there's an affordable housing development on the Terrace Street side. The building is shown here. As far as specific repairs along Terrace Street, we are proposing reconstructed widened sidewalk, 3 street trees with associated tree pits, 5 city standard bike racks located along the curb line here, a proposed 12-foot wide curb cut for a residential driveway into the building garage, and again, removing and resetting the curb, etc. With regard to the Parker Street side, there are 2 parcels that are going to be redeveloped as part of the project. What we're calling Parcel B, the open space parcel, will be owned and maintained by Parks and Recreation. A new park is proposed. We are proposing, again, to remove and reset the granite curb and reconstruct the sidewalk. We've coordinated with street lighting, so there'll be some street lighting improvements along the project frontage of Parker Street. There's also a community garden proposal on what we're identifying as Parcel C that will be maintained by the trustees of reservations. We're also proposing a 10-foot curb cut with a driveway and a double gate for access to the community garden area for maintenance vehicles. The existing sidewalk spills over onto private property under current conditions, so that's why we're proposing, one of the reasons why we're proposing a widening and relocation along Parker, so we can capture those proposed, not only the existing sidewalk, but the widened sidewalk. It's about 6 foot in width now. We're going to widen it to 8 foot, so we have the nice area for pedestrian flow between the park and the community gardens along that edge. And with that, I can turn it back to the commissioners for any questions and comments.
Commissioners, questions? All right, PIC staff or members of the public?
I'll just mention that we will need highway easements executed for these 2 widening and relocations. But other than that, I think we're in good shape here.
All right, excellent. Well, hearing nothing else, we'd be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 14th.
Yes, we will.
Excellent. All right, we will see you back here then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and on to our final agenda item, new business 9, 400 Melniak Boulevard, Harrison Avenue, Washington Street, Roxbury, specific repairs and a petition by Nuba LLC. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and introduce us to the project as well as the actions proposed.
Excellent. Good evening, or good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Michael Malinowski. I'm with Allen and Major Associates. We are the civil engineers for the project. And on the line, I have Cameron Zahedi from Urbanica, and Stephen Chung, the project architect as well. And I will share my screen here. Everybody see my screen?
Yes. Yes, we can.
There we go. All right. So the project by Nuba LLC plans to erect a multi-family residential project. The project will contain 109 affordable units, 64 rental, and 45 home ownerships, along with 5 artist workspaces on the ground and a 2,500 square foot exhibition space located here, and including 10 surface parking inside the building. Residential units are planned to be a mix of rental and condominiums. The project will also include a park that is to be located at the corner of Washington and Milnia Cass. Existing property is currently owned by the City of Boston and the state of Massachusetts. It's bounded by Washington Street, Milnia Cass, and Harrison in the Roxbury neighborhood, and is currently occupied by a surface parking lot used by some city departments. Along Milnia Cass, the specific repairs include the reconstruction of the existing sidewalk along the frontage, and including reconstruction of handicap ramps at the corner of Washington and Milnia, as well as Washington, Harrison, and Milnia. There are no proposed impacts to the existing trees along Milnia Cass, and all of those will be protected. Existing sidewalk exceeds 7 feet in its current configuration, so there's no requirements for an additional pedestrian easement in that space. We move down to Harrison Ave. We are proposing to reconstruct Harrison Ave as well, including a modified driveway entrance to facilitate the underground parking for this building here. We have 4 new street trees that are being proposed with interconnected permeable paver sections, and 4 new street lights that we worked with the street lighting division on, and some shadow conduit. On Washington Street, we do have a new tree being proposed that is in an existing tree pit that is here. We do have some minimal repairs to Washington Street. It is a current existing wire cut brick sidewalk. We do have some spot repairs that we're doing, but the majority of that sidewalk is to remain because it falls within the historic conservation area. There are new curb ramps being installed at this location, new crosswalks, and a corresponding sidewalk ramp on this side. This existing ramp here has been newly reconstructed and meets the current requirements. Be happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Commissioners, questions? All right, I have a couple. So on the Harrison side of the project, the reciprocal ramp on the north side of Milnia Cass, what is the ADA compliant status of that ramp? And it seems to be the one reciprocal ramp that is not clearly.
So based on our, this plan doesn't reflect it, but our last correspondence with ADA, Sarah Bloomberg, the ramp itself meets ADA requirement. The specific request was to replace the tactile warning. There's been some damage to that tactile warning. and it doesn't meet the current standards. So when we come back in 2 weeks, that will be noted on the plans. But other than that, the ramp itself and the corresponding area behind have been newly reconstructed as part of the work that the Boston Water and Sewer Commission had done a few years back.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think from our perspective, right, a ramp with a broken tactile is no longer ADA compliant. And so we want to make sure that any project, that both the abutting ramps and the reciprocal ramps are left in a state of compliance. So just to make sure that that is fully noted on the plan set for your public hearing would be great. And I appreciate the work.
And then
the project team
one
is doing.
other item that we had that we're still working out is sort of some of these two existing ramps at the corner here have some sort of wonky cross slopes that we're working out to try to, that was the one outstanding item that we had received from ADA last week.
Okay. And it looks like at that corner there will be some additional concrete added to ensure that to create the correct and appropriate slopes for the wings of the ramp and the level landing. Is that?
That's correct. That's correct. Currently, it's a brick scenario, and it doesn't. It's sort of haphazard. So we're trying to reconstruct that all in concrete so that we can get our proper cross slopes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and certainly from an ongoing maintenance perspective as well, having the areas that are sort of integral to ramp functioning be done in concrete, while still preserving brick where it is not a core part of the ramp is very helpful for us. So thank you for those changes. So currently there is a little sort of pocket park plaza on the opposite side of Washington Street from this corner. That is on the other side of the MBTA station. We have had Washington Street, not Milnia. We have had a lot of issues around kind of misuse of that park space, littering, debris. It is not in your project area and not your problem to figure out what should happen there. But I note that your project is showing a new park space kind of being added just across the street from there. So I was hoping you could speak to the maintenance and kind of management plan for that park area. Presuming it will be open to the public, we just want to make sure that it does not become an attractor for bad activity or trash and litter in the way that the opposite side of the street has become.
I'd be happy to elaborate on that. This park is, because it falls within a conservation restricted area, this park design has been reviewed extensively by the Parks Department, DCR, as well as Mass Historical. And as part of the conservation easement that is in place, or will be in place, part of that is an extensive maintenance agreement that the proponent needs to undertake to maintain the park in perpetuity. So that will include regular maintenance, making sure that things are picked up. So this park will be hopefully maintained in a pristine condition throughout its longevity.
Excellent. That is great to hear. And hopefully some of that sense of order will spill across the street as well. So glad to hear that we'll have this as an anchor. Related to that and more focused on the public right-of-way, there is a large grassy strip along Milnia Cass between the roadway and the sidewalk. Does the project proponent, will the project proponent take on any maintenance responsibilities over that grassy strip along their frontage, or is that going to remain the city's to mow and clean?
As it currently sits right now, it would fall back to the city, but that's something we can discuss with the proponent. I'm sure once they build their project that they're not going to want to see sort of clutter out in that area.
Yeah, that would be my assumption as well, and I think for the, to ensure that there's a sort of consistent feel of, consistent maintenance plan in this area and a consistent feel, I think it would be, certainly the city would appreciate if the proponent was willing to take on just the basic upkeep of that grassy area and keeping it mowed and free of trash, and obviously would add great value to the project site as well, to be able to do that. But so I would appreciate if you can speak with the project owners and report back to us on that.
Yeah.
All right. Those were all of my questions. Commissioners, any other questions, comments? PIC staff or members of the public?
Michael mentioned this a little bit already, but just in Sarah Leung's absence today, I'll just reiterate the fact that there are a few outstanding comments regarding accessibility. And I understand that Michael and the team will be addressing those in the next 2 weeks before the public hearing.
Correct, yeah, that's, as I mentioned, it was this ramp here that we've got to sort of fix our cross slopes, and we've got to add that this panel is to be replaced.
Related to that, I actually got one other specific question. Apologies for not getting this in earlier. So, and this may be something, this would just be an ask that you speak with Sarah about this in particular, but currently there's a cobblestone median in the middle of Melnia Cass that extends most of the way across the crosswalk. It's shown here in the upper right corner of the plan. I think from an accessibility perspective, you generally do not want to have people riding over cobblestones when crossing the street. So just if you can work with Sarah to just explore that condition and a recommended action, I think, I know that you guys have restriping of the crosswalk and not roadway work in the scope of your project. So I think it's really a question of what disabilities would like to see done there. If it is something that can be done, that can be addressed in the context of the project, we would certainly like to see that, to have a consistent accessible crossing, but open to a conversation about it if the scope is beyond what is feasible.
Yeah, we can definitely explore that.
Excellent. All right, so that's it for me, for real. Okay, seeing no other questions or comments, going once, going twice. All right, will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 14th?
Yes, we will, sir. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We'll see you back here then.
Thank you.
And with that, we've reached the end of our agenda for today. Do we hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. See you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you.